Lockdown. One of our favorite subjects. First and foremost, Happy New Year to everybody. I mean, I don't know how much of a Happy New Year it is because I feel like anybody who kidded themselves and thought, oh, you know what, we're gonna come out of 2020 and then everything's gonna be okay. Bullshit. That was never gonna happen. Same shit we were in yesterday as we're in today. And it gets worse. And that's depressing, of course. You know, I don't want people to be like, oh, these guys, man, they've come back on and this is depressing. And I'm not, now it's lockdown 3. I'm stuck in my house. I can't do this, can't do that. Look, I just want to say this quite clear. I'm going to argue both sides. I'm going to let Raph obviously argue his side. I'm going to argue both sides. First and foremost, I just want to say this. If you jackasses stayed in your house, this would not be happening. I just want to put that out there. Regardless of what the government says, regardless of what the rules are and all that type of tiers and all that crap, if you stay in your house, this shit wouldn't be happening. I just want to say that first and foremost, because self-preservation and self-love is the most two important things on this planet. And you have to think that regardless of whether you believe it or not, if you stayed in your house, this would not be happening. I just want to say that quite clear. On the other hand, I think we said this previously. What exactly do you people expect the government to do when you don't follow the rules? like, what is it that you expect the government to do when quite clearly they're setting out, although, let me stay on this path. When they set out quite clear rules. Now, the basic principles, the basic rules is stay in your house, protect the NHS or whatever it is, stop the spread. That's the first part, right? All the other stuff is confusing. Tiers, it's not confusing if you read it, but tiers and all that type of stuff. I know there's a lot of people in England who probably are like, yo, I don't know what the hell I'm allowed to do, what the hell I'm not allowed to do, because it can be confusing, I'm sure. If you take your minute to actually read it and go through it, it's not actually confusing at all. But I can understand why some people don't know the parameters and things of that nature. What I don't understand, and I guess the question, and this is the question to you, what I don't understand is back to the original statement. What is it about people and not listening? Like, I don't understand the correlation of people and not listening. What like how do we get here?
People just want to do their own thing, innit? That's the simple, straight answer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you say to these people. They just want to do their own thing, which is fine, but we're just going to keep continuing to do the same thing. Unfortunately, or fortunately, the vaccines come in, so that's at least some light. It's going to take a while for that to, yeah, it's going to take a while for that to obviously be administered. And not everyone's going to take it. So obviously that's a factor as well. But yeah, like I called this in November or whenever they said that they were going to do this whole 5-day bullshit. I was like, okay, that means that in January we're going to have a lockdown, and comes around in January we've got a lockdown. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think I saw like a video the other day. I don't know how legit it is anymore. Some of these videos, what I used to do is I used to like, someone sent me a video, I'd actually go at my own time and verify it. But there's so many videos now I'm seeing of house parties, I just can't be bothered to verify it. So,
those were real. Don't get twisted. I
saw one and they were like all like sardines, and I'm like, even outside of COVID, right? I'm not going to these places. I'm going to be in the house party, like as a sardine like this. Like, come on, like I don't
wait. Do that again.
Like, what? That's what they were like. I'll put the video up. Tell me if I'm wrong. If you see,
It's
I'll
true.
put the
It's
video up,
true.
right? Like, why would you go to that outside of COVID? Anyway, regardless of COVID or not, why would you go? Like, what's you go? Just people touching you, feeling you up,
I just love it.
grabbing your nut sacks. Like,
That's quality.
I'm just
Yeah,
tired.
nah.
I'm tired of people's excuses. I'm tired of people being and acting as if.
Word up.
There's people that I know, right, that are complaining about people going out or doing X, Y, and Z,
Mhm.
but they're doing X,
Mhm.
Y, and Z as well. It's like people don't
Mhm.
realize that they're part of the problem. They just think they're exempt and they can just
Mhm.
say, "Oh, look at these idiots," but then you're going to your friend's house. But then, "Oh,
Mhm.
look at these idiots," but you're going to a party. Do you know what I mean? It's just,
Mhm.
I'm just tired. But it's gonna. I think this would be the
I
last
mean,
one. To be fair.
what I would say is I think that, you know, there are people out there. I won't lie. New Year's, it was what me, Shahu, and Kasoon. I think a lot of the time, it's funny because me and Shahu like spoke a couple times before, you know, seeing each other, whatever, and he was like, "Listen, taking COVID tests, like, I'm making sure that I'm negative or whatever." This is somebody I haven't, I'm you more than myself. I hadn't seen Shaw not just because of COVID, but like he hadn't been home, period, like in like a year. And I know you haven't seen him in a while. So it was one of those things where I was like, I do want to see my boy. I haven't seen him in a minute. He's coming home for Christmas, blah, 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 whatever. And he was being very cautious about everything. It's the first time, it was an interesting conversation because it was the first time somebody's ever called me up and was like, so listen, man, I'm gonna do this, this, and this before I see you just to make sure that everything's cool. And I was just like, wait, what? And I kind of, for a second, I kind of forgot the situation we're in because I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not saying that like it's an excuse for it, but there's a big difference between sardines and three dudes just kind of being around a big enough house, just walk around having a drink or whatever. But what's been interesting to me is like, you know, if I just saw videos like that where it's like a couple people in somebody's house or whatever, I probably wouldn't have cared too much.
Oh yeah,
Because I'd have been like, oh, okay, it's not like compact, but you know for damn certain that if those videos, it looked like there was like 100 people in a room. Mm-hmm. Like a room with no ventilation. And the thing is, and you're right, I wouldn't want to go to that even outside of, I've been to house parties where you can't even really dance. You're just standing up against the wall because mad people in there.
I can understand.
And you're just like, yo, like, why am I in here?
I'm not throwing shade, right? But I can understand if it was like at a big house or a bigger house, like your house, right? But like this was a flat or something. Like I think it was a flat or something.
Nah,
or something like that. Great. And I'm just like, why are you guys like? How is this fun? Tell me how this is fun. This can't be fun.
There's one with a kid. There was the police kicking open the door, and the kid, they were trying to hold the door shut.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah.
And the police was like moving into. They were like pushing this one police officer into the house, and the kids were pushing this one kid against the door.
Wasn't that a church?
I don't know what that was, bro. If that was a church, goddamn, I don't know what that was. I'll look.
I had one story where we went into a church.
Yeah.
The police had to come. I don't know if it's the same one. I'll put it up.
What was going on in the church for the police to have to come?
No, they went into the church to have their party.
Oh.
I don't know if it was abandoned church or what it was.
Or what was going on, right? I mean, for me, like the core of the issue is for me, the core of the issue is the government. And it's not me contradicting myself. I still think that people should be following the rules 7 days a week. Don't get me wrong. My issue is that we're in a situation where the government at every turn has completely fucked up. at every turn. Like there hasn't been a time where I could clearly say like, oh man, they did this and this made perfect sense. It's always been response. It's not been proactive. So when you're not proactive, I literally yesterday, before the announcement was made that we were going into another lockdown, I literally yesterday was watching Good Morning Britain, and they're asking the health secretary if there's going to be a lockdown, so on and so forth. And he's sitting there like, no, so what's going to happen is that the people in tier 3 is getting worse. They're going to go into tier 4. And the people who are in tier 2, if it's getting worse, they're going to go into tier 3, blah, blah. And schools are going to stay open, boom, boom, boom. And the next thing you know, bang, we're in a national lockdown. And Piers Morgan, who I'm not like the biggest fan of, I respect his journalism over this time period because he asks the politicians the questions that I would ask the politicians, and he stays on them to make sure he gets an answer. And if he doesn't get an answer, he just keeps badgering them until they actually lose their shit. I think the government had said, we're not going to go on this channel, and they were boycotting it for like 100 and something days or some bullshit like that.
Do you know that he, apparently, this is the story that's going on Twitter, he was seen going to the Caribbean during Christmas.
I'm sure he was. You know what?
But he's in a
tier
where he lives in the UK. He's in the tier where he shouldn't be traveling. So once again, one guy telling you one thing but doing another thing,
and doing something different. Here's the thing. I look at these situations every time somebody says, like, all right, first and foremost, he wouldn't be able to do that if travel wasn't a thing. Private jet or things being, airports being open, right?
You can't be the face of.
No, you can't be the voice of the people.
You can't be,
and then be a dickhead in the background.
You can't be the voice of the people.
You can't
saying,
be that guy.
And everyone stay at home, and then no, I'm gonna go because I've got millions. Like that looks a bit.
Yeah, no, like, and that's the thing. That's the thing. We saw, and that's what I mean by like the borders being open and stuff. We saw that when they relaxed some of the rules, all these rappers and entertainers and so on and so forth are flying out to Dubai, ruining Dubai. I'm never going to Dubai now. Fuck that. I've been to Dubai a bunch of times. I'm never going back now. Fuck that. I have it on good authority. One of my guys said it's like I and Apple all of a sudden. I'm like, nah, fuck. I'm never going back.
It does seem like that. I see all these people that are like reality TV stars, that not like the big ones.
Everybody's in Dubai,
and they're like always going.
Apparently, Dubai is London in the sun.
I'm like, okay.
Apparently, Dubai is London in the sun, bro.
I don't get
I want no parts of it. So. I get listen from being there. I get the hype train because it's a wonderful place. It's beautiful. It's kind of like a man went there and went. And then everything just got built and it was perfect and everything. Like, it's a very nice place, but it's too much for me. Like now, I go on holiday, not to run into the same dudes who live around me. I go on holiday to go on holiday. But anyway, that's a different conversation. When people were able to leave the country and go to all these different places, and then come back, and I don't know what the rapid testing was like in Heathrow Airport, and if people were avoiding it. We had rappers having fights on planes. We had all this stuff happening over this period of time. And the alluring factors are, we go back to the very beginning of this, and it's so prominent more now than it was at the time. The only thing to have done was to close the borders. That was the only thing to have done. We wouldn't be talking about lockdowns and tiers and all this type of stuff because no one would be able to come in and nobody would be able to get out. So because of that, if you did get the virus in your country, you'd be able to control it. But again, this comes down to the government being reactive and not proactive. And it turns out, to me at least, again, we go back to the almighty thing of money. And the reason being is because even in a time where people are dying, NHS workers are stretched and there are not enough nurses, which is beyond me. How the fuck does that happen? All these things are happening, right? And in London, they're talking about extending congestion charge. So in this time where everything is shit, everything is going in the toilet, you still want to make money off the people. When we talk about Italy, Germany, France, all these places, all these European countries, which we're no longer obviously a part of, they got bailouts. Italy shut down completely where the people weren't paying rent. mortgage, bills, anything. It gives you no reason to have to go outside. So if I tell you we're locking down, but you ain't got to pay none of your bills, none of your rent, none of your debt, you're good for this amount of time, then obviously you ain't got to go outside and make no money because you're like, cool, I'm good to just sit here, work, and chill.
Most of these
Right?
people have money, right? I think the problem is,
Well, what in Italy?
no, I'm talking about UK. So if we did that in the UK,
Oh, yeah.
I feel like people would still be like, oh, well, I want to go out to the pub, or I
I'm
want
still
to go
going
out,
outside.
or I want to go out to
Yeah.
a party, or I
No,
want
but
to go see my
you
friends.
shut all that shit. You shut all that shit.
Yeah,
You
I
shut
know.
all that shit
But
down. The only thing that should be open
what I'm
is
trying to say,
doctors, hospitals, and supermarkets.
what I'm trying to say is it's a different country in the way that it's set up, and
Yeah.
the way that people respect not also the
situation.
law, but also the police. Like if you go to
Yeah.
Spain, right, and you see the police,
Mhm.
even like football games, for example, right? So I've been to football game, and the police have armed police, right?
Mhm.
They have dogs, all sorts. Like they're funded so that
They make a statement.
if shit goes down, they're ready. Now I'm not saying
Yeah.
it can go wrong. Obviously, we've seen it in America where police have too much power and they just
Yeah.
start shooting people and killing people. Right? I'm not saying that.
Mhm.
I'm saying like people don't respect the government or the law in the UK. In other countries, in Italy
True.
and in Spain, they do. So if they say stay in your house, they stay in their house. But I feel like even if we gave everyone everything, we said you don't have to pay for anything, you're gonna get food, everything, people would still go out in the UK. It's just a mind of I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like the British Empire.
Like, I think it's
like,
an entitlement.
Yeah, we can just do whatever we want because we live in Britain. Like that's the way that I just see it. I see it from the government right down to like people that have no jobs. It's just
they just do it. Yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like and that's the thing. Do I feel like the government have to get tougher to a degree? Yeah. You get to a point where, and I've said this so many times over this period of a year, you give people an inch, they take a mile. You know, free speech, I'm all for it. All those things, all the freedoms and everything, I'm all for it. But the truth of the matter is, when we're in a situation in which we're in right now, and people are complaining, I'm like, but you're complaining and you're perpetuating the cycle at the same time.
And
it goes back to the original thing I said. You can't want both. You can't want both.
This government is here because of the people. We've put in a Tory government for the last 12 years, or I don't know how many years, but I'm just going to say 12. That's about right. Yeah, 2008. I think it was 2010 or something that Cameron came in. Anyhow, right? The last like 12 to 10 years, we've had a Tory government. The reason why the NHS doesn't have the capacity and people are run down is because we've been saying fund the NHS for the last 15, 20 years and it hasn't happened. And obviously that's on the Labour and Conservative. And people don't get paid enough. So they're living a life where they might be earning 20 grand a year and living in London and having to stress about bills and all that sort of stuff. And they run down mentally and physically.
Have second jobs.
And second jobs and all that sort of stuff, right? That shouldn't be happening. Do you know what I mean? If you take healthcare seriously, which we should have taken healthcare seriously, we wouldn't be in this mess. We wouldn't be talking about, don't get me wrong, the pandemic came out of
shortage of this,
the pandemic to a degree came out of nowhere. As in like you couldn't have predicted it, right? But if we had the right number of staff in the first place, this wouldn't be an issue. And it wouldn't be an issue which we now have, which is like, okay, cool, we're ordering all this, like all the vaccines. Obviously they're not all going to come tomorrow, they're all going to come in like batches, but now what they're saying is that they don't have enough people to administer the vaccine, and the reason why is because you don't have enough people working in health. Do you know what I mean? This is the reason
why you're not paying them well enough, so these people are quitting those jobs.
So
I'm sure they lost so many people based on what COVID has done, because they're like, I'm not working here, fuck this, I don't get paid enough to do all of this.
And people have got families and they've got people with underlying health conditions. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're asking people to literally like sacrifice their lives to
Yeah.
to do this. And I
They
know
do
that,
already.
yeah, and I know that people say that's their job, but no one really predicted
Yeah.
like a pandemic. Let's be honest. But
Exactly.
yeah, it's just the next thing. Like, just when it comes down to voting again, right? Just think who you're voting for. I'm not saying that Labour was the answer, but I'm saying,
100%.
that you can't complain the way that the government's doing things and the fact that there's no one here. If
Yeah.
that's what you've been doing, if
Mhm.
that's what you've been voting for the last 10 years. Do you know what I mean? It's just common sense.
I think the other side of this is something that kind of just killed me. I feel like when you're on these platforms, I see a lot of people. Obviously, platforms bigger than ours at this point in time. Not for long, but at this time. And I want to single out this dude, not because I don't like him or whatever. I just think that he said some crazy shit. This guy over here in the UK named Poet. Now, to me, I thought he was a very intelligent young man or older man. I don't know how old he is or whatever, but anytime I've ever seen anything with him on it, I always try and watch it because I think, nah, this dude's cool. Like, he's got like a cool vibe or whatever. I like the way he presents himself. But he said the other day, they had the chance to sit down with an NHS doctor and talk about COVID. And the statement he made was, if I go outside, when I was younger, I was going to the shop. The dude told me if I leave my house, he's going to punch me in the face. He said, I left the house anyway. Dude punched me in the face. He said, oh, now I've left my house and COVID hasn't touched me. So what am I more scared of, COVID or a box in the mouth? And I was just like, wait, what? The punch ain't going to kill you. And even if you are sitting there saying, all right, COVID ain't touched me yet. All right, cool. Well done to you. That's great. God bless. Same time, what about if it does and you don't get any symptoms, but you pass that on to your nan or to your father or to your mother or to your sisters or your brothers or whatever? You might be thinking, listen, man, my mom used to say this shit to me all the time, and it stands true today. Boy, you ain't Superman. So stop being reckless. Stop running out here doing whatever, running across whatever road. You ain't got rubber bumpers. You ain't Superman.
Some people think that they are.
Be mindful of yourself and others. Well, I mean, whether or not this particular man that I'm speaking about thinks that he's Superman or not, to me, at your big age is irrelevant.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I look at it like this. My problem is the influence you have on others. That is not, and I respect being real and being honest in your feelings. That's fine, because that creates obviously good content. My issue is there are people out here who listen to your words and follow exactly what you say. So be mindful, be responsible about what you're saying, because those people are thinking, yeah, man, if Poet ain't staying inside, neither am I. And you're black. And we know how that goes. And like, so you got to add all those factors in.
But most of these people, let's be honest, I think we're one of the only channels that I've seen, especially like black channels. I don't know why I'm not seeing that of black people, but for some reason we love a conspiracy. And I feel like most of these channels are just doing it for the views. I feel like they will be going. I feel like they will be going out and not listening to the rules, but they're not as. Do you know what I mean? They're not about it as they say.
They're not as gung ho about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're not just like doing the madness. 100%. Do you know what I mean? So that's one thing, and the second thing is, like you said, you can get this without knowing and pass it over to your family, and everyone that I know has someone that they love over the age of 55, 60, right? That if they get this, it could be game over.
It could be curtains.
And I know 100%. For me, right, I couldn't live with myself if I'm passing it over to my family. Do you know what I mean? If I'm passing it over to my nan, my grandpa, like, I can't live with that. So if people want to live with those 100%. Options, that's completely fine. Eventually, it will catch up with you, because if you're running with it unknown through the second...
You can only play roulette but so many times.
Exactly. I know through the second lockdown, or from the second stage, if that's what you want to call it, of this whole COVID thing, I knew more people than from the first, right? So that tells me that it's coming around. Like it's around the
Yeah.
corner. It's not
Exactly.
long to someone in my family potentially could have this.
Exactly.
So I'm going to do
Exactly.
all I can. We're nearly down the end. Do you know what I mean? Going to have the vaccine. Eventually, like I said, some people will take it, some people won't take it, whatever, right? But a large chunk of people will take it, right? That have the opportunity to take it, because it's not going to be. This is another thing I want to talk about as well. People saying, "Oh, I won't have the vaccine." Bro, you're 25. You got good health.
Yeah.
You probably will never even be offered to take the vaccine, because it's not about that group of people. They're going to be targeting people over the age.
It's about people who are in danger. Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be targeting people over the age of 80, and then there's going to be different levels of brackets depending on your health conditions and your age, right? So all these people that are like 30 and influencers and saying, "Oh, I'm not going to take the vaccine," blah blah blah, just stop chatting shit, because you're not going to be getting the vaccine, right?
Yeah, not at least now.
There's not enough to go around, and
I must say this for all, and you're 100% right. Speaking of a vaccine in like the shortest way possible, I keep saying this to people, and I want you to understand: the government don't have to make it mandatory. Life will make it mandatory. Ryanair are already have the jab and go advert out right now.
yeah.
So they're already telling you, get your vaccine, and you can buy tickets from £19.99 to travel anywhere in Europe. You're telling me that if Ryanair are doing it, supermarket, fucking cinemas, gyms, any of these places that you you frequent, you think they're gonna follow the same rules or make a plan for themselves?
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is be Pure Gym or one of those companies and be an epicenter for the COVID, the COVID virus starting up again. So they're gonna do everything they can not to be those people, because that's how serious this is. So everybody's saying, "Oh, I'm not taking it. Oh, I'm not doing this. Oh, I'm not doing that." All right, cool. Your world will get smaller. Your world will get smaller. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer, and I'm not a pro-vaxxer. At this point in time, I'm gonna stay my ass in my house person and wait and see what happens as we continue to go down this road. But in the businesses that I work in and the things that I do, I know a lot of my income comes from traveling and going outside. And I know that at that point, at what cost and at what point do I have a choice?
Yeah.
How far can I go before my choices become very limited? So I have to factor those things in and think about what the future holds. But at the same time, Raf is 100% right. They're going to go to the people who are in these nursing homes, in the hospitals, people who are at high risk, people who live in certain conditions. NHS workers are going to be like the second people on that list to make sure that they're all good as well, because they're going to then be the people who are going home and passing on to their families. So they're going to get them as well. So when we're talking about we're not doing this, we're not doing that, listen, man, we just went through a year and we're still in the shit. I don't know what exactly people think is coming to like eradicate this. People talking about when things get back to normal, there's no such thing as normal anymore. Whatever comes out of this is the new normal. This is what we used to do before is not going to happen again. How we used to live before is not going to happen again. There's going to be a lot of adjustments and things that we have to do. I'm sure most restaurants are going to stay on this whole make sure you book before you come business. It's not going to be just turn up, because you have to be careful and cautious of what we're doing. But more so than anything else, man, like I think it's imperative that everybody at least adhere. I don't know. They're talking about April. Hopefully fucking not, man. That's a long, right now just thinking about it, that's a long way away. That's a long fucking
It's just
way
logistics. Like, it's not,
yeah.
like there's not enough. They can't make the vaccine quicker, right? Then they can always make the vaccine. So that's number one thing.
Yeah.
The whole priority is to do this, right? So they're trying to make it as quickly as possible, right? Then they have to wait for people to get administered. Then they have to book people in to have the vaccine. Then you have to some of the vaccines, depending on which one well, at the moment the one that we've got, you have to take one dose, and then between 4 and I think is it 4 and 9 weeks later or something like that? I can't remember. You take another dose, right? The first dose I think protects you for like up to 50%, so you're good for them, but then you can still get it 50% less than someone else that could get it. And then you take the next one, and then I think a couple of weeks after that, then you're meant to be immune. But then now we've obviously got this new strain, which they say is going to be hopefully protected by this vaccine, but we don't know, innit? So
yeah,
it's just the problem. The problem is that everyone needs to help everyone out, and
yeah.
what I see
There's
is
some
people.
selfish motherfuckers out there.
Yeah, I just see selfishness, and I see the same thing with the media as well. The media, in one hand, say, "But this watch the media, right?" So now we're in the lockdown. And the first thing that media are going to say is, when do we get out of that lockdown? Blah 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 blah. What about kids at school? They're now out of school. What about their exams, right? And then as soon as we come,
push the hand of the government.
Yeah, and then as soon as we come out of lockdown, they're like, why are we not in lockdown? Look at the cases.
Yeah.
How comes we're not in lockdown? Why are the kids in school? This is exactly what I'm talking about when I'm saying people are not helping each other. They're just trying to find out who's right and who's wrong. It's just like,
or just push different narratives to make people talk about different things, and that way you get more people watching the videos and
or sell their newspapers or their videos or whatever it is. People just want to say the most controversial shit and hope for it sticks. Have no research. Like even the guy that you said, this poet guy, I bet you he didn't ask one question, right, that was actually informative to his viewers. I haven't watched it, but I'm just going to say from the way that people work on social media.
I mean, shit, if you're going to say something that fucking stupid, I would hope that you followed it up with a good question, because fuck me.
Yeah, like what's the point? What's the point of having someone, right, that has... We're not talking about now that... We're not talking about opinions. And this is what I hate about some of these, what I call conspiracies. They could be true, they could not be true, right? It's like saying, like, I could predict the lottery, right? But I don't know until those numbers come up. But someone might actually know the numbers. Do you get what I'm saying? So you might get lucky and it might be true, but it's just luck that you just pulled it out of the bag. But when you've got someone on there, why would you not ask them a serious question? They've done their studying. They know what's going on. They're actually in the wards. When people are saying, oh, these wards are empty and all that sort of stuff, ask them. Do you know what I mean? See, like, actually ask them. See, what do they have to like?
I think my whole thing is, you know, we have to start policing ourselves in a certain way, because as Raph said, the media do one thing, the government do one thing. We have to start being smart as society, just as people, because we're not paying attention to the alluring things that are going on around us. We're just reacting as well to every single little bit, man. There's a lot to be said about this topic, and I'm sure we'll have loads of content on this particular topic, especially when the vaccines start getting rolled out even more and things of that nature. But I think the most important thing is stay in your house, man, where you can. You know, obviously those who have to go to work and all that stuff, I know it's difficult. Those who, you know, are key workers or what have you, and so on and so forth. You know, no, you don't need, if you don't need to travel somewhere, don't. And just like, I don't know, just be considerate. I think that's the main thing. There's no point, to be honest with you, there's no point in saying, oh, stay in your house, because we obviously now know nobody's going to do that. And I don't know how tough the government's going to get on that particular rhetoric. But what I will say is just be considerate, man. Like, I think that's the most important thing. Just be considerate to the fact that there are people out there who are worse off than you, or whatever the case may be. And hopefully over this time period, we can, you know, I don't know how long or whenever it's going to be, or sounds like they're saying April, or the rumor is April. So, you know, I guess we got to batten down the hatches till then, but you know, it's difficult. And I'm sure everybody's level of difficulty is different than somebody else's in terms of where you live, how you live, money, not having money, all those type of things. So hopefully, you know, things get better, but the most important thing is to be considerate. So yeah, that's the last thing I'll say on that. you know the deal. It's Blurred Lines. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification button so you know, hit the notification bell so you know when we post. And something that's important to me, because I said this, somebody said this to me the other day, and I was like, you know what? I forgot, not even forgot, but it's like, this needs to be said. It's 2021, and Black Lives Still Matter. I'm out.